Hello guys, we are the Group 10 and we are focused on the Project 4. And for me, I just want to introduction about the FDA regulatory pathways.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello guys, we are Group 10 and we are focused on the Project 4 about revolutionizing bone healing, regulatory pathways to innovation, and I'm Nikki Mu.
And my name is Serge.
So please, next slide, please. I can do the intro. So for my part, I just want to introduce about the FDA regulatory pathways, which means the 510 clearance and pre-marketing approval. Next slide, please. So for the introduction to the FDA regulatory pathways about the 510K clearance, the pathway for the marketing equivalence, our proposal is about to allow the medical device to be marketed in the US by demonstrating it's a substantially equivalent to a legally marketed device predicated that's not a subject to the PMA. The process is about the decision and FDA review and supporting documentation, substantial equivalence, and pre-research, which means intent for the lower risk devices class 1 or 2 modifications of devices already on the market. So for the pre-market approval, which means for high-risk devices, our purpose is about the most stringent type of device marketing application required by the FDA. It is to evaluate the safety and effectiveness of Class 3 medical devices. Our process about pre-submission meetings with the FDA to discuss the application process and the study design. The second one is about the application submission, device design, manufacturing process, labeling, and results of clinical trials and laboratory studies. Then we do the FDA reviews process, examination of the submit data, and may include the inspections of manufacturing facilities, administrative and substantive review, and advisory community meeting. Then last step, we do the decision, proven safe and effective, the FDA issues an approval order. For the intended for high-risk devices that are new to the market and don't have a predicate, Phase 3 devices that support or sustain human life are of substantial importance in preventing impairment of human health or present a potential unreasonable risk of illness or injury. Next slide, please. So for both of it, key differences about the first one is about the risk and novelty. 510K is for lower risk devices that have a predicate, while PMA is for high risk novel devices. The evidence requirement 510K requires demonstrating equivalence to a predicate. PMA requires extensive evidence of safety and effectiveness, often including data from clinical trials. The time and cost the PMA process is significantly more time-consuming and costly due to its rigorous evidence requirements. Next slide, please.
And I will take over from here. So this is more of a detailed breakdown of the criteria of the 510K clearance and the pre-marketing approval strategies. So for more detailed approach, if you look at the purpose of these two and you compare them side by side, the purpose of the 510K is to demonstrate that a new device is safe and effective as legally marketed to an analog device or a predicate device in the sense. And you're not really inventing anything novel per se, that it requires more clinical efficacy studies. For that, if you really need to use the pre-marketing approval strategy, that is to evaluate the safety and efficacy of a class 3 medical device. It's more essentially a device that can bring a moderate risk to a patient. So you have to balance the safety and efficacy profile. So that's the difference between the purpose of the 510K and the PMA. Processing steps are a little bit similar, but a little bit different. For the processing steps for the 510K clearance, the predicate search, you have to look at other analog products on the market currently. You have to demonstrate substantial equivalence to that product itself, and you have to provide supporting documentation in case showing that what your product is doing is what you're saying that it's doing. And what you have to do after is you have to go ahead and do FDA review, or if you have to FDA has to do a review, and then they give you their decision. For the process steps for the PMA, pre-submission, you go ahead and just supply your supplemental documents prior to any clinical data. You go ahead and provide application submission, including clinical data afterwards. The FDA does a review process. That includes meeting with the FDA itself and the advisory committee, and then they read your decision. I know these two processes, when you look at step by step, one is quite longer. The PMA especially takes years sometimes to actually publish and actually showcase viable data, because it is starting from scratch and showcasing clinical data, while the 510K clearance actually showcases equivalence, essentially. Intended devices, very simple, lower risk devices, class 1, class 2 modifications of existing devices in a sense, and a PMA, anything that is a high risk device or anything that's newer to the market, essentially class 3. Evidence requirements, usually for a 510K clearance, technical safety and performance information are very important to showcase equivalence to the predicate or the equivalent product that you're showcasing it to. While the PMA, it's extensive clinical trial data and detailed information on the manufacturing process, because you're starting almost from scratch, aka it's a new device. A review time for a 510K, it's usually 90 days for review. Overall process can take about 3 to 6 months on average. A PMA is quite longer. Actual review process takes about 180 days, but the overall process from pre-submission to approval can take several years. So you can see the difference between the two. Cost implications are actually quite significant as well. For the 510K, lower compared to PMA, but varies based on device complexity. But one thing I can tell you for certain is for the 510K, the cost is much lower, because you're not really doing any of the clinical data, you're not really doing any of the R&D itself. That's where all the money is actually situated in. And the PMA, like I mentioned, significantly higher due to the extensive data requirements, longer review process, and essentially just takes years off of your life cycle. And then from there, what we're trying to showcase to you today is the fact that we have a device. It is a robotic 3D printed cast. Essentially, what's innovative and different about it, we have 4 different things that our group concentrated on. Number 1, we have innovative material. We have advancements in the material. It's made from lightweight, it's breathable, it's waterproof material that allows for better hygiene and patient comfort during the healing process. Very important to patients in case, in a sense, it encompasses majority of the patients, whether it be a fracture of the wrist, arm, leg, anywhere around the body. Second thing, it's very customizable. It utilizes precise 3D printing technology to be unique to a patient's arm, depending on the morphology of the patient, depending on the structure of the bone, and depending on the cast type that's required. And it essentially enhances comfort and fit of the patient. Number 3, remote adjustment compatibility. Essentially, it's a feature. It features a remote adjustment system allowing for non-invasive adjustments, and the actual cast itself can adjust to have an ideal fit to the patient during the time the patient is wearing it, and the patient has complete autonomy of how it feels on him or her. Number 4, integrated healing monitoring. Essentially, it's a monitoring system. It's embedded with sensors to monitoring the healing progress of the patients, the temperature, the humidity, providing real-time data to the healthcare provider, some more informed treatment decisions if the cast needs to be taken off sooner, if it needs to be leaved on for a longer period of time. And essentially, it's very dynamic, just the patient and the provider. And just from that segment, I'm going to go ahead and dive into how it works. So essentially, it has 5 different things that are aligned to it. Number 1, it has a scanning and modeling feature. It scans the arm of the patient. It models based on the bone fracture and the actual segment that's damaged. And then the design itself is customized through our 3D printing technology to actually adjust to the patient's arm, leg, or any anatomical abnormality for the patient. And then the 3D printing technology uses biodegradable material, uses material that's very versatile and easily moldable. And it essentially punctuates the production efficiency of our model compared to a normal cast that you see in hospitals. The robotic application is something novel and new. Essentially, it's our 4th step. It showcases that robots themselves actually adjust the cast and print it to your morphological features. And then, like I mentioned in the previous slide, we have monitoring and adjustment parameters that our physicians do themselves, and you can actually adjust the cast to increase its functionality in case the bone itself is healing properly or improperly, in case the cast needs to be leaved off for a longer period of time. But it gives you an edge of actually correcting patients' casts. I guess one more thing I'm going to punctuate are the benefits of the system itself. Essentially, it showcases that our product, it has enhanced healing. It's a custom fit. Optimal support can potentially reduce healing time and shrink proper alignability of the fracture, increased comfort, breathability, lightweight material, custom fit improvement for patients' comfort and hygiene. It's data-driven care, essentially. Those little trackers that we have embedded into the cast showcase and monitor proactive adjustments and personalized care, improving the outcome of the patient. And efficacy in treatment, it actually speeds up and reduces time and resources needed for application and adjustments for majority of these patients. Imagine if you come in and the cast needs to be left on for longer, you can actually adjust that cast based on the actual programming of our functional robotic system. And then for the regulatory considerations for a device and choosing the 510K strategy, what we want to showcase is that between the two, the PMA and the 510K strategy, if we want to commercialize something that is more innovative, but yet it's still a CAS system, we don't really have to go the long way in the PM structure, and we don't have to offer something. And essentially what it does, it just increases the purpose and the functionality into the system that's already on the market. This positions us to be to demonstrate substantial equivalence to a predicate device or something that's already out there, a core requirement of 510K says. And what I want to punctuate about the predicate devices, we have identified practices that are very similar to orthopedic support functions, albeit without any advancements in customization or material technology or integrated monitoring. So those three key items of how we function and how we adjust the patient on these robotic restructuring functions. The material is lightweight and breathable, and it has an integrated monitoring system. These comparisons will serve as a basis for our 510K submission, highlighting the similarities of a similar cast system, but the variability of how our cast system performs better and has better safety profile for our patients. So I believe for this portion, choosing a 510K strategy. So why are we actually focusing on this strategy? Like I said, compared to the PMA, what we want to showcase as key considerations for 510K submission is performance data. We'll be providing comprehensive data demonstrating that our device innovation features do not compromise safety or effectiveness. Those little monitoring structures within the compounded device will showcase how well it works compared to a normal cast. And technological comparisons, a detailed analysis will showcase how enhancements usually in 3D printing, robotic application, sensory integration, maintain and improve the standard of care without introducing new questions of safety or effectiveness, essentially doing the same function as our predicate, but doing it in a better and more customizable fashion to our patient. And the regulatory strategy for submission will emphasize the benefits of advanced materials, technology for the patient outcome, for patient outcomes, aligning with FDA priorities for innovation and healthcare for all of our patients.
So for the next steps, we will finalize the compilation of the comparative data and the performances testing results, and we will engage with FDA for a pre-submission meeting to discuss our approach and receive guidelines. And next, we will prepare and submit the 510K application, ensuring through documentation and justification for substantial equivalence. So to draw a conclusion, we choose the 510K clearance pathway aligns with our strategic goals of introducing our innovative robotic 3D printed case to the market efficiently. This approach leverages existing regulatory frameworks to validate our devices' safety and effectiveness, paving the way for our revolutionary advances in restorative care. And next slide. Here is the roadmap. Here is our roadmap to markets. It's the timeline milestone. We can see our products we'll go to the market into 3 years. The first is in 2024 Q2. We will pre-submit submission the phase. We will complete devices and prototype and the initial testing, and we will identify and finalize predicted advice comparisons, and we will engage with FDA for a pre-submission meeting to gather feedback. And then Q3 and Q4 in 2024, we will do the preparation for the 510(k) submission. We will conduct the comprehensive performance testing to demonstrate substantial equivalence, and we will compile regulatory dossier and including technical documentation and clinical data as required. And in 2025 Q1, we will do the 510(k) submission. We'll submit 510(k) application to the FDA. We will begin preparations for production scaling and the marketing strategy. And in the Q2 and Q3, we will receive the FDA review process. We will respond to any FDA query and provide additional information as needed, and we will finalize manufacturing setup and the distribution channels. And in Q4, we will prepare to market. We are assuming 510(k) clearance is granted, and we will finalize marketing materials and launch plans. And we will train sales and support teams, strengthen relationships with healthcare providers and distributors. And in 2026, it's time for our market launch. So it is officially launched the robotics 3D printing kits in the market, and we will implement a post-market surveillance plan to gather real-world data and ensure ongoing compliance. And in Q2, it's time for post-launch activities. We will monitor market feedback and the device performance, and invest in marketing and educational efforts to drive adoption and explore opportunities for further innovation and product line expansion based on market needs and feedbacks. The next slide. So to draw a conclusion for this presentation, first we introduced our groundbreaking robotics 3D printed case, highlighting its superior customizability, comfortable and integrated healing monitoring and capabilities. Our devices represent a significant leap forward in orthopedic care, offering enhances hearing experience for patients and streamlines process for healthcare providers. So for the regulatory pathway, we outline our strategic decision to pursue the 510(k) clearance pathway, emphasizing the substantial equivalence to existing devices while leveraging our novel features for competitive advantage. This pathway not only aligns with our goal for timely market introduction, but also demonstrates our commitment to safety and efficacy. And third is the market readiness. Through our detailed roadmap, we showcase the planned milestones and timelines leading to market launch. Our proactive approach to regulatory approval, manufacturing scalability, and market engagement set into stage for successful product launch and widespread adoption. Fourth is the strategic partnerships. Our journey to market where ambitions is greatly enhanced by the support of strategic partners. We are open to collaborations that can accelerate our path to market, enhance our product offering, and expand our reach within the healthcare ecosystems. And next slide. Here is our team members. And next slide. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, it's time to ask us. And thank you.